see yourself standing in a courtyard stained with suffering. Stationed before you are Hannah and her 7 sons. They stare down Antiochus and a torturous task, denying their identity or facing their death. They are a family forced to the edge of existence, given ultimatums they refuse to fulfill. You are an observer in the outer courtyard. What says your inner will? The 5th night finds my strength tested. This night is dedicated to standing strong against external forces, refusing to fold to the host of voices that beckon me away from my core. This is the night of Hannah and her 7 sons, caught in an outer courtyard, called upon to convert, to conform to an alien world. This is a night dedicated to persistence, a night not afraid to sacrifice. It is a night of knowing one's identity, of being grounded in an inner courtyard of calm and courage, regardless of the chaos of the outside world. In the cold of the outer courtyard, crowded with calls to comply, I call upon the powers of my own inner will to courageously defy. Hi there, I'm Scott, and this is GreatScott Knitting, Vlognukkah 2021. Night 5 is what I am recording for. Okay, full disclosure, it is not night 5, but that is the night I'm going to talk about. Thursday, which would have been yesterday, my husband and I and my mother-in-law went to Kansas City. My husband used to volunteer at Union Station, which is part train station, part historical artifact from, it was an extremely important place during the early 20th century. It was it's a big deal in Kansas City. Union Station. We have a science center, a science city there, which is an educational venue for youth. It has shops. It has exhibit space. It's a really cool place. I'll throw a picture of Union Station up somewhere here so you can see what I'm talking about. He used to volunteer there a lot and became of course became friends with a lot of the other volunteers. Union Station had, and I think it still has, a unique relationship with another organization in Kansas City called the Kansas City Museum. The Kansas City Museum has a home which is called Corinthian Hall, which I'll tell you more about that place here in a moment. Corinthian Hall has undergone a renovation since about 2017 to rehab it. It was in terrible condition, and it has been reopened to the public. And because he was friends with many of the people involved with the Kansas City Museum, he was invited to a event to view the Kansas City Museum and to meet with his former volunteer co-workers. So we went to Kansas City yesterday for that event. So we were in Kansas City for night 5. So we went to that event. After that event, we went down to the Kansas City Plaza. It's called the Country Club Plaza. It is the first open air shopping district. One could call it one of the first shopping malls in the United States. It started in 1924, I believe. thereabouts. And every year they have what are called the Plaza Lights, which is they decorate all of the buildings in Christmas lights. So we went down there with my mother-in-law, his mother, to the Plaza Lights to view those. So I'll throw some pictures in of that later as well. So really tonight is more about history of where I used to live for like 30 years, Kansas City. But before I jump into all that, I don't think I was able to show this off because I think, because I got it done right before the trip. So shawl number 3 is off of the needles. And I really do love how it turned out. It's just lovely. Absolutely gorgeous. So loving it, looking great. So those 3 knits are done. I still have one more major gift knit to make, which is probably going to be in this yarn, and it will probably be a cowl for my male identifying boss, my manager. So that will probably be going onto the needles sometime this weekend. So night 5. So let's jump into this business. So Kansas City has been around a long time, and so there is it has a history, and it has long had a historical organization called the Kansas City Historical Museum, which is located, which its home has been since 1940, the Long Mansion, let's see, his name, the name of the gentleman was Robert Alexander Long. He was an entrepreneur from Kentucky. He settled in Kansas City around 1910 and built his estate in Kansas City. And he built this amazing estate, which the residence was called Corinthian Hall. It was designed by Herbert Hoyt, I believe was his name. So Corinthian Hall was this huge mansion of something like 70 rooms, made in that, built in, of course, in the early 20th century. So it has sort of that lovely architecture from that you would see in the late teens and into the 1920s. That type and extreme grandeur of that period. So that's where the Kansas City Museum is located. The Long family lived in it from, I think, about right towards the beginning of the 1920s through 1934, when Mr. Long passed away. And then the property was eventually sold to someone who gave it to the city of Kansas City to be used as a museum. And it opened as the Kansas City Museum in 1940. So there was a period of time there where it was in transition into being from a home into a museum. So as you can see in some of these pictures, here is one of the parlors. They had a couple of grand pianos. No one in the family played, so they were there pretty much as a artistic piece. One of my favorite rooms was Mr. Long's library / study / office, home office. This gorgeous dark wood library with this beautiful dark wood paneling and this amazing fireplace mantelpiece. Absolutely stunning room. They had a billiard room in the basement. They also had, back in the day, they had a bowling alley in the basement. Their dining room was also quite grand. They had this chandelier, and it is still here it is the original chandelier that hung in this space. Absolutely, I mean, again, stunning decor concept. Mrs. Long often entertained in what looks like a side porch. I think it was called the solarium, which its biggest feature were these ceiling panels of stained glass. I don't think they're Tiffany, but they're in that style. So I'm throw a picture up of those images as well. Of course, they have the grand staircase in the foyer of the home, which leads to some of the upstairs exhibit spaces. The upstairs used to have the bedrooms, but back in the 40s, most of those rooms were converted into exhibit spaces for the collections that the Kansas City Museum has. So the third and fourth floor that way. There is the landing of the grand staircase, and on the landing of the grand staircase, there used to be a pipe organ. One of his valets played on a daily basis. And so here's just a couple of pictures from later in the evening as we were leaving. This is what the front of the Long Mansion, or otherwise known as Corinthian Hall, it appears like. So really quite lovely. We went back home, or back to our hotel room, where we met up with a friend of ours and lit our Hanukkah for the holiday. And then we headed down to the Country Club Plaza to enjoy the Christmas lights that are on the buildings there. And as you can see from some of these images, there's just a lot of those lights down here. It is a lovely experience. Every Thanksgiving is when they turn them on. It is a big deal. That usually after the festivities or the holiday meal, people from all around Kansas City and really all around the region come and congregate in the streets of the Country Club Plaza, awaiting the lights to be turned on. It is often tens of thousands of people that are there, and it is just a big celebration for the kickoff of the holiday season. And that pretty much constitutes my night 5 of Hanukkah. I am going to keep this short because I actually have to then now turn around and talk about night 6, but because I wasn't able to do this while I was on the road, there simply was not the time to be able to sit and record. So there it is. So thank you for taking a little time to watch this short episode for Hanukkah and Vlognukkah. And I will bid you all the greatest of days and evenings. So may you have peace in your home and the fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Bye.